My parents drained my college fund for golden child sister, now want me to bail them out of foreclosure. Holy shit, Reddit. I don't even know where to start with this mess. Throwaway account because my family doesn't need to find this. But I am losing my mind and need some outside perspective. I am Riley, 27. And I run a pretty successful education tech company in Denver. Most people think I have my life together, but honestly, I am just a screwed up kid from Kansas who learned to code out of spite. My childhood was basically being the invisible second daughter while my parents poured everything into my older sister Savannah. Growing up in Cotton Ridge, Kansas was like living in a Norman Rockwell painting where I was photoshopped out of every family photo. Savannah was 29 months older and might as well have been royalty. She was going to be a doctor. She was the future of the Hart family. She got private tutoring and expensive calculators and summer camps, while I got told that community college was perfectly good for someone like me. The breaking point was senior year of high school. I had worked my ass off, 4.1 GPA, working 20 hours a week at the local diner, taught myself calculus because our school didn't offer it. When I got into Brown University with almost a full ride, needing only about $15,000 a year for living expenses, my parents literally told me that Savannah's pre-med education came first, and I should go to community college instead, because computer stuff is just a hobby. So I said fuck it, packed my beat-up Honda Civic and drove to Denver at 18 with $3,000 and a dream. Never made it to Brown because $15,000 a year was impossible without family support. But I enrolled at community college and worked 3 jobs while teaching myself web development on library computers. Fast forward 6 years. I built my company from nothing, have 25 employees, raised $2.5 million in funding, and I am finally starting to feel like I made the right choice. My parents and I barely talk, maybe 3 phone calls in 6 years, and every time Mom asks when I am coming home to apologize for abandoning the family. Then Tuesday happens. Mom calls crying, says they are in foreclosure. Dad got laid off. She cannot work because of arthritis. And Savannah dropped out of medical school and moved back home. The audacity of the next part still makes me rage. Mom asks if Savannah can come live with me in Denver and maybe I can help with their mortgage payments until they get back on their feet. I told her I needed time to think about it. 2 days later, Mom and Savannah show up at my fucking office unannounced, in front of my employees, in my professional space, asking for money and housing, like I owe them something after 6 years of radio silence. But here is where it gets really fucked up. Reddit. My business partner convinced me to pull my credit report and financial history just to be safe. What we found made me physically sick. They opened a credit card in my name when I turned 18, maxed it out multiple times over the years, always paying it off with their money but never telling me it existed. But the real kicker? I had a college fund, a 529 plan that my grandparents had been contributing to since I was born. It had $40,000 in it when I graduated high school. They drained the entire thing 3 months after I left home. $42,000 after penalties, transferred to their account, used to pay for Savannah's college and medical school expenses. While I was eating ramen noodles and working 3 jobs to afford community college, they were using my inheritance to fund golden child's education. I confronted them about it, and Mom said families share resources and legal documents are just formalities. Dad mumbled something about planning to pay me back eventually. They genuinely seemed surprised that I was upset about this. So Reddit, am I crazy for being furious? I have already contacted a lawyer and filed a police report for identity theft, but part of me wonders if I am overreacting. They keep saying, family helps family, but apparently that only applies when I am the one doing the helping. Update 1 original post blew up way more than expected. Thank you to everyone who shared their stories and advice. This situation keeps getting more insane. So here is what happened since my last post. First, the legal stuff. My lawyer Rebecca is a goddamn warrior. She filed a civil claim demanding full restitution plus damages and sent my parents a demand letter that basically said pay up or face criminal charges. Mom called within hours screaming about how I am destroying the family over money. Apparently when you steal $47,000 from your kid, it is family resources. But when they want that money back, it is destroying the family. The math is not mathing, Mom. But the real tea came when Savannah called asking to meet privately. We met at a coffee shop near University of Denver. And let me tell you, this girl looked like she had been through hell. Turns out she didn't even know about my college fund being used for her expenses until Mom got the lawyer letter. She thought they were just taking out parent loans like normal families. Here is where it gets really sad. Savannah never wanted to be a doctor. She wanted to teach or do social work, but Mom had been pushing the doctor dream since she was a kid. The academic pressure destroyed her mental health, and during her third-year clinical rotations, she made a medication error that got her suspended. Instead of getting help, Mom convinced her to cover it up and try to transfer schools. The cover-up backfired spectacularly. The medical school discovered the deceptive communications and kicked her out permanently with notes on her record that make it nearly impossible to get into another program. She has been home for 8 months dealing with depression, while Mom still talks about her medical career, like it is going to happen. Reddit. I actually felt bad for her. She has been just as much a victim of Mom's manipulation as I have, just in a different way. She asked if I could help her start over, and honestly, seeing her as a real person instead of the golden child for the first time in my life was weird as hell. I told her I might have work for her, but only if she gets therapy, finds independent housing, and proves she can function without Mom's financial and emotional manipulation. I am thinking about expanding my company's community outreach programs, and someone with her academic background could be useful if she is willing to earn it. The legal case is moving forward. We have a preliminary hearing next month, and my parents hired some local Kansas lawyer who is apparently going to argue that stealing from your kids is just good family resource management. Cannot wait to see how that goes over with the judge. Oh, and the house they are losing to foreclosure. I am thinking about bidding on it at auction, not for sentimental reasons, but because the location would be perfect for a community learning center. Poetic justice much. More updates to come. This rabbit hole keeps getting deeper. Update 2 back with another update because this saga keeps delivering plot twists like a soap opera written by someone on cocaine. The preliminary hearing was last month in Kansas. Picture this. Me and my badass lawyer on one side. My parents looking like they aged 10 years with their discount attorney on the other. Judge Patricia Kim was having absolutely none of their bullshit. When the judge asked Mom why she thought she could drain my college fund, Mom tried the family resources should be shared equitably line. Judge Kim shut that down fast, asking if I had been informed about this sharing arrangement. Spoiler alert, I had not. The judge called it straightforward financial fraud and identity theft, and ordered 30 days of mediation to see if we could settle out of court. If not, trial would mean much worse penalties for my parents. Here is the wild part. After the hearing, Dad pulled me aside and said he is separating from Mom. Not divorcing yet, but moving out and getting his own place. He said he spent 27 years watching Mom treat me like garbage and he was done enabling it. He came to mediation with a detailed 5-year repayment plan for the full $47,000 plus interest, and offered to sign something saying if he misses payments I can pursue criminal charges. Mom, predictably, spent mediation crying and claiming I was destroying the family over money. She still cannot admit she did anything wrong. The final agreement banned her from contacting me except through lawyers, and both parents are permanently prohibited from using my personal information for anything financial. The house auction was surreal as hell, standing in the front yard of my childhood home with the deed in my hand, knowing I now owned the place where I felt invisible for 18 years. I won the auction at $75,000 cash, partly because the other bidders didn't want to compete with someone who obviously had deeper pockets. Renovating that house into Heart Learning House has been therapeutic in ways I didn't expect. I kept the basic structure but opened up the walls to create classrooms and study spaces, added a computer lab for kids to learn coding, and built a library with test prep materials. The sign by the front door reads Heart Learning House. We see every kid. 7-year-old me would have cried seeing that. Savannah kept her end of the bargain. She has been in therapy, found her own apartment in Kansas City, and got a part-time job at a nonprofit working with at-risk youth. When I offered her the lead educational aid position at the Learning Center, she actually cried. Good tears this time. The center opened last month with 12 kids signed up for test prep classes and a waiting list of parents who want their children to have educational opportunities that didn't exist in Cotton Ridge before. Dad came to the ribbon cutting, keeping his distance, but looking proud. Mom did not attend, which was exactly what I expected, and honestly preferred. According to Savannah, Mom is still living in denial, talking about how I destroyed the family over money, unable to acknowledge any responsibility for the damage she caused. Some people never change. Some people never change. Ruth sent me a birthday card. The first one since I left home. Our relationship is still fragile and formal, but it is based on honesty and accountability now instead of guilt and manipulation. Edit. For everyone asking about the Learning Center, we are set up as a nonprofit subsidiary of my main company. The goal is to expand to other underserved communities where kids might otherwise be overlooked. Edit 2. Yes, this has been expensive as hell, but success without purpose is just expensive emptiness. This feels like the right use of the money I have made. Final update. Figured I owed you all a final update since so many of you have been following this journey from the beginning. It has been 6 months since my last post, and honestly, life is better than I ever imagined it could be. Heart Learning House is absolutely thriving. We have expanded from 12 kids to over 40, with 3 volunteer tutors from the local high school and a partnership with the county library system. Savannah has been incredible as our lead educational aide and is taking night classes to get her teaching certification. Watching her work with kids who remind me of myself at that age has been healing for both of us. The best moment was last month when a 17-year-old named Marcus, who reminds me so much of teenage me it is scary, got his SAT scores back. He improved by 300 points and got into state university with a partial scholarship. His mom cried. I cried. Hell, even Savannah cried. This is what it feels like when you help kids who actually matter to you instead of just going through the motions. Dad has made every single restitution payment on time. We exchange brief emails mostly about business. But last month he sent me an article about education technology that he thought I would find interesting. It wasn't much, but it was the first time he had ever shown interest in my actual work instead of dismissing it as computer stuff. Baby steps. Mom is still mom, according to Savannah. She is going through the divorce proceedings while maintaining that I am the villain who destroyed the family over money. She has apparently told half the town that I am ungrateful and selfish, which honestly just makes me grateful I don't live in Cotton Ridge anymore. Some people will die on their hill of victimhood rather than admit they were wrong. My main company EduBoost is doing better than ever. Turns out that using your business success to create something meaningful is great for employee morale and investor confidence. Who knew? We are planning to open 2 more community learning centers in rural Colorado next year. The most important thing I have learned through all this is that breaking generational cycles of dysfunction is possible, but it requires setting boundaries and sticking to them even when it is painful. I spent 18 years feeling invisible in my own family, and another 6 years thinking that was normal. Now I am building something that ensures other invisible kids get seen and supported. For everyone dealing with narcissistic family members who think your success belongs to them, here is what I wish someone had told me earlier. Your achievements are not family resources. Your bank account is not community property. Your forgiveness is not owed to people who refuse to acknowledge the harm they caused. You can love someone from a distance while protecting yourself from their dysfunction. The invisible cycle that started in my childhood kitchen ended when I learned to see myself clearly and demand that others do the same. Sometimes the best revenge is building something better than what was torn down. Edit. Thank you to everyone who followed this journey and shared your own stories. The DMs with similar experiences have been both heartbreaking and inspiring. You are not alone in this shit. Edit 2. For those asking about resources, the National Domestic Violence Hotline has great information about financial abuse, even when it is family members doing it. You deserve better than being treated like an ATM by people who claim to love you. Edit 3. Stop asking me to write a book about this. I am a tech entrepreneur, not a writer, but maybe someday when I have time to process all of this properly. Learning Center is thriving. Savannah is doing well. Dad is making restitution payments. Mom is still in denial. And I am finally building the life I should have had all along. Sometimes going no contact with toxic family members is the healthiest thing you can do. Thanks for reading. Reddit. This community helped me realize that my normal meter was completely broken, and for that I will always be grateful.